I know, guys, coffee is great, but nothing's better than SEO. I think we all agree. Something small to note is that you guys who's been watching through live, you can ask questions. We have them here, and we can basically just ask those questions after each talk. I just wanted to make a small reminder just in case you guys didn't know. And we're going to move to our next speaker. We met her while we were in Vietnam in the SEO conference there. She was absolutely amazing. She made international SEO look so cool, so much cooler than it already is. She's absolutely amazing. She has the ability to just basically explain everything very, very simple, super knowledgeable, and the founder of the Diary of an SEO. Please, let's welcome Kira.
How many people have had to submit a visa application online? Put your hand up. Oh, thank you. What, just one? All of you are special. Never had to do a visa. Awesome. So I want to start with a little story. I was in the UK, and because I've got a very weak passport, I had to do my 1,000th visa application to go to Singapore. So I'm in the UK, and I type in, apply for a Singapore visa in the UK. And this is what I get. If you have a look here, it gives me results for Jakarta, which is not in the UK, that's in Indonesia, and Brazil. That is not what I wanted, and it took me probably 10 times the amount of time to apply for this visa than if the Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs had their international SEO correct. How many people here have had to do international SEO or know about international SEO? Give me a show of hands. Amazing. Okay, so you'll know what I'm on about. For those who are not familiar, international SEO is just making your website accustomed and available to people around the world. So to any country that you want to target, you want to have your website that fits every demographic, every subfolder, and have a target in a certain language that you want to go after. For those who have done international SEO before, there are 4 biggest headaches in international SEO. The first one is hreflang inconsistencies and mistakes. Poor keyword localization. So how many times have we seen that you've done everything correctly, but then all of a sudden, why am I seeing a result from New Zealand in the States? We've got inconsistent URL structures, and we've got language and country culture mismatches. So the last one might not be so familiar, and we will go into this very interesting section shortly. The whole point of this, and what I want you to take away, is 2 things. So throughout my presentation, I want you to think of 2 very important takeaways that you can take and apply to your clients or just to your understanding. And I would like you to focus on being inspired. So for me, if you learn one thing from today that you go away with and you think, this is awesome, I can apply it, then I've done my job right. The first thing is auditing hreflang tags. So if you've got 5, 10 countries, then it's not such a big problem. But if you're targeting, say, 150 countries for an e-commerce store, then all of a sudden you can have a disaster on your hands. This is where AI will come into play. There's a lot of things that we can do, but we're not robots, so we need help. The thing that you can use AI for is auditing your hreflang tags. So what you can do is you can run an export on any tool of your choice. I personally use Sitebulb. You can use Screaming Frog, OnCrawl, whatever you like. You get an export of those URLs, and instead of going through them manually or relying on those tools holistically, you can export it into an AI system to analyze these for you. You can create custom prompts, so I'm sure we know all about ChatGPT custom prompts, and you can ask it to show you what you want to see. Do you want to check if the ISO codes are correct? So just for context, ISO codes are the country and language codes that you specify for the search engine to understand. You can see if there's any language inconsistencies, trailing slashes, or any other errors. So this saves you so much time in analyzing your URLs when you've got 50 to 60,000 of them. Once you've got your export, put it into Claude, ChatGPT, anything that you prefer to use, or you can even get ChatGPT on your Google Sheets, and I'll tell you how to do that shortly. These are just examples of the native tools that you can use, but this only works if your hreflang is not in your JavaScript. So some tools are able to crawl JavaScript content as well. Some of them, like GeoIP redirect, you will not really be able to see this. So that's when AI would come and help you as well. The things that a native tool can't do, AI can. And you can even integrate all these tools with ChatGPT, with Claude, with anything else that you want to create custom prompts to save you the time for your analysis. So if your client is paying you probably many thousands of dollars for SEO, for international SEO, and you spend 10 hours analyzing, then you've used up your time not as wisely as you could have. The next thing is localization. So how do we do cultural research at scale? Again, if you've got 2 countries, yes, I can do it. UK, US, do a bit of Googling, we understand what it's like. But what if you have 40 to 50 countries to work with? AI prompts are an absolute lifesaver for this. So you can create a custom prompt based on your English keyword research, or Greek, if that's your starting language. You can create a prompt to review and analyze a website and its keywords as whatever the country you're doing research for. Again, this is just one example, but you can have a list of 50 to 60 countries and output a skeleton keyword report that gives you ideas to work off of. So this is just step 1. Again, you can even omit the SEO expert with 20 years of experience because you don't need that. That's you. You are the SEO expert. But what not many people can do is speak 196 or whatever languages. So that's where you need the help of these LLMs. So if you can see here, we're focusing on culture, nuance, geography, language, norms, and idioms. We're not just doing basic keywords. Once we've got that prompt and once we've got a base keyword structure, I would highly suggest using Claude AI for this, not ChatGPT. So the latest iteration of Claude is Sonnet 3.7, and it's got, in my opinion, the strongest multilingual and cultural understanding capabilities out of all of them. So based on all of the work that we've done, Claude gives us the best output. But the thing is, and as we all know, you can't just trust AI. For all you know, it's telling you a list of swear words in whatever language. So you need to check this for search volume. I would never trust an AI tool to output search volume unless I've checked it on a variety of different ones. So we've got this list. This specific example is for a telecoms client that we have. So this is Spanish keyword research. I don't speak Spanish, but Claude does. So I've used its help. I've got these keywords. And what do I do next? How can I work with this list? Put it into Mangools or a keyword research tool. So you import the list and you start checking the search volume and the relevance. So for those that haven't worked with Mangools before, you've got the search volume on the left-hand side, the keyword, you've got the SERP overview. So this part you have to do manually if you want the best results. So you see where your bearings are. Are there any competitors in your industry? Do the keywords have search volumes? Are the keywords relevant? And you can get yourself a very nice localized keyword list based on culture and norms. Now, how do we deal with content? How do we create informative content for, let's take an example of 33 different countries. How many people in the room speak 33 languages? Cool. So now, once you know how to do this, you will know exactly how to speak all of these languages and get the best content that you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. So this is probably my favorite slide. And what we're going to do here is we're going to scrape Reddit results globally for your industry questions and information. So again, this is a telecoms client example. I mean, I don't speak the language, but this is something about a certification for 5G and 4G trading courses. So what you can do is get a Reddit API wrapper that is built on Python, and you can scrape all of the content that you want from every subreddit that you want as well. So you can create your own Reddit scraper with a couple of simple tools. And I think that we live in a time where technical SEO and not being a developer is very accessible, that you can build all of these tools yourself. So all you need to do is install Python, install the Reddit API library, create your app, create a custom script, and run the script. So in a couple of minutes, you will have your client URL, you will have a target set of keywords, and you will have a couple of languages that you want. So in this case up here, we've got English, Spanish, German, Russian, Greek, and Chinese, and a couple of others. So what my script is doing right now is it's crawling all the subreddits, and it's giving us information on Q&As, recommendations, local language, and customs in that industry. Once you have that, save that into a spreadsheet. I would run that through a fact checker, as always, and you've got your lovely list to work with. And again, the cool thing about this is it can run multiple languages simultaneously. Again, 33 languages at once. You can even do more. So the possibilities are absolutely endless. For international SEOs, if any others are in the room, this is the best time to be alive. This is the best time to make SEO globalized. Next is URL structures and slug taxonomy. So this is actually one of the simplest ways to clean up your URLs and translate them. So in 5 minutes, if you really wanted to, you can get an OpenAI API key. You can connect it to your Google Sheets. You can pop all of your site URLs onto it. You can run a ChatGPT script, and you can translate your URLs to all of the relevant languages if that is what you need to do. So again, I'm going to say this after every piece of information. You must fact check everything that you do. You never trust AI to completely give you the right answers, because AI it's still not a predictable format. You can also use it to normalize URL structures. Again, this is not particularly relevant for cross-domain hreflang. So if you've got a subdomain and a subfolder mixed up, you won't have the same URL structures. But if you need things to be cleaned up, you can run the same script and you can get your lovely URLs all uniform, all cleaned up. The next thing is canonicalization rules. So this is another massive, massive problem in international SEO. This is why we get mixed results. This is why some results don't show up at all. So you can create a custom script, again, to show if a canonical needs to be self-referencing, if it's a parameter, what URL do we want to show, and if it has a different version, then what version are we showing? So once you have all of this cleaned up, you also have this in your native CMS tools a lot of the time. But if you're working with a headless CMS or a custom-built e-commerce website, you need to do this. You need to run these scripts because it saves you time. You don't want to be going through stuff manually. This is more of a cultural side of AI and international SEO. So this is catching language and country mismatches. And I've used the example of Greece and Cyprus for cultural differences, because I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, my Greek friends, in Cyprus and in Greece, the language and the idioms and the culture is slightly different and can get mixed up. So what I'm doing here in my custom script is I'm using an example of Cypriot terms or English terms in a Greek e-commerce website. So again, you will probably have these slides sent to you for those who can't see. But what we're analyzing and what we're creating is a logic rule to catch any words or phrases that wouldn't otherwise fit into a Greek website. So what we've used here is a click-through button. So a click-through CTA to see if it's the same as what Greek people or Greek language speakers would use, or is there anything in English that needs to be translated, or is there anything outside of the Greek culture and norms that we need to change. Another thing that this logic rule does is it points out some pretty big problems in hreflang and ISO codes. So I'm going to ask you, can you see a problem with the ISO code here? Any international SEO friends? There's a big problem, but it's very easy to make a mistake. Someone can see. Do you want to say what it is? Yes, nice. So this catches everyone out. And to be honest, before being invited to speak here, I also had no idea that Greek wasn't Greek in Greek, but now I know. So your logic rule has ISO codes inputted, and it tells you that this is wrong, that GR does not exist. The same way that EN UK does not exist. The same way that ENSA does not exist. So SA is South Africa, but actually the code is ZA. So these things are really easy to miss. You know, I don't memorize this stuff. I don't know every ISO code off by heart, even though I think that would be really cool. But that's why you use AI, you use a machine that knows exactly what you need to help you spot these issues. So it can do much more than, you know, picking out all these cultural changes and tendencies, and it can do a lot more than spot your incorrect ISO codes. Now, I want to tell you about a very important topic that I'm a very big fan of. It's called cultural compartmentalization. And I want to keep this on here for a few seconds to give you some time to think about what countries you think might be in these compartments. So the way we work when we do international research is we compartmentalize by region, by continent, and by culture, right? Because some continents have very similar cultures. So this is something that can also be automated if you build a custom script. So if you put whatever is in your head, all the beautiful creative stuff, and you give it to a machine and you make it work for you, then it can do all of the stuff for you. Now, have a look. My question is, where do you think Greece would be? Let you read that for a second. Okay. Can I have a volunteer? I hear some giggles. Where do you think Greece would be in here? You can shout it out. What do you think? Any volunteers? Yeah? Leader. Yeah. Anything else? One more. Or I'm going to pick on... Oh, yes. The creator. Interesting. Okay. And now, before I reveal the answer, okay, I'm not the villain. I just did my research, and I went on to Google Scholar. So based on our research, based on our keyword research, again, and the intent, we see Greece as the caregiver, which I actually fully support being here for the last 3 days, and the ruler, which I also can see. So again, you can see the brief outlines. You might agree with some of these countries, which is absolutely fine. But when we do this, you might think this is just a list, but what this is a framework to help you understand user intent that can then lead you to use artificial intelligence to give you ideas and prompts and structures on how to bring this to life. Because I'm sure all you international SEOs know, you can have the best hreflang ever, you can have no errors, you can have a great structure, a beautiful website, you can get lots of traffic, but you're not getting conversions. And this is the answer. This is why we get a lot of traffic, but we don't convert, because we use Google Translate to translate our pages, and we can't be doing that. Tools that help you scale. So obviously there's hundreds, but these are the ones that we use and ones that I would recommend. Obviously Python, we all know. N8N is quite an advanced tool. So if you've got a web development background, that's the one I would use. I use make.com, so that's more for the non-developer friends, and a really good way to dip your toe in the water. Then you've got ChatGPT and Claude. So again, I want to reiterate that Claude 3.7 is the best for multicultural research from all the tests that we've done. So if you're doing anything on culture, norms, phrases, expressions, Claude would be the best one to do this research on. Another thing you can do is you can scrape Google Scholar. I know that we might not use Google Scholar much anymore, but it's something that we use almost on a daily basis to understand culture. So it's a comparison of market purchasing behavior that you can import into Claude, so you don't have to read the 500 pages. You can just get it summarized for you. This is absolutely awesome. So someone earlier this morning was talking about reporting. I'm here telling you about automating everything, but only last week did I switch from manual Google Sheets reports to this. So it used to take us a full day, a whole day, to do reports manually on Google Sheets, which I'm very embarrassed about. But now that I've learned this, I can share it with all you fine people as well. So Looker Studio workflows, not just popping everything into Looker Studio, but actually linking everything that you need from page speed insights, not by page, but by category, compared to your competitors. So you can scrape things like technical performance, word count compared to your competitors, and cultural relevance as well with your custom scripts, and show this to your clients. So again, if you're trying to get buy-in, because international SEO is expensive, and you want to say, hey, I think we need to do some work on this. Say your technical performance is really quite bad, your word count is way lower than your competitors, and your cultural relevance is close to none and has a lot of mistakes. You can take it and report that to your client to get some buy-in on why. Why do we want to make these changes? It really also helps you, because normally we check page speed and analyze on a page-by-page basis. But for an e-commerce website, if you see a category is lacking, more times than not, it would be one of these three things. So if you crawl the whole page, the whole category, and you pop it into a Looker Studio workflow, you can understand and analyze your results and see where it's going wrong. Now, the future of global SEO automation, we have already seen incredible things and incredible movements. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but AI is now able to translate your speech, but keep your voice, which I think is absolutely revolutionary. For anyone who's a course provider who does online training, where you would have had to translate into 33 languages or hire 33 people who are native speakers, you can now just be you. We could translate my talk into 33 languages and keep my voice. I think having tools like that is absolutely incredible, and that already exists, but I wish for us to use that a lot more. The negatives of automation at this stage, I believe, is the lack of predictability. So at the moment, things like ChatGPT and a lot of agents, so custom agents, you ask it the same thing 10 times, you'd probably get the same answer 6 times out of 10. What we need to be working on is making AI predictable so that we can focus on the creative, but AI can focus on the predictable. Until then, we are going to have to check everything that we do. But once AI is at the stage that we don't have to rely on, our own checks, and it can be fully predictable. 100% of the time, it would give us the same data. Then I think we're onto something pretty great. I also think that the future helps us deal with a lot of cultural errors. So I don't know if anyone else knows this story, but in the 1980s, KFC made its move out to China. Does anyone know this and what they did? So they tried to translate their slogan. If you guys know, it's finger licking good. So they went off to China and they decided to translate. I don't know what they used, but the direct translation into Mandarin was, "You will eat your fingers off." So that didn't do really well for obvious reasons. But that is why we talk about this so much, because we don't want to be saying things like that. We want to come into a country and speak their language. Not literally, but we want to be part of their culture, their norms, and their expressions. And I really hope that that's where we're all headed. And as I said earlier, human creative intelligence and automated predictable workflows, once we get to it, is the perfect recipe. We can cut down so much time on the things that we don't need to do. We don't need to do the manual analysis of URLs. We don't need to do 75 hours of cultural research if we can get it summarized, but in a predictable way. We can then deliver the most to our clients. We can still charge a lot, but we can do it in a shorter space of time, and then competitors don't stand a chance. So I know I've offloaded a lot of things today. I did say in the beginning, try to remember 2 things that would inspire you to go and try something new. But if you have enough memory to remember 3 things, I would say use LLMs to analyze hreflang when it's at scale. I would say scrape Reddit with Python script. I would say that is the main. Try it out. And create custom rules to analyze culture logic across all of your countries and demographics. But the truth is, you still have to do a lot of stuff manually, I'm afraid. Good things take time. And another quote is, "Nothing good comes easy." So we can't just give it all to a machine. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a job. Thank you guys so much. I've got a little Greek phrase, don't laugh. Naste kala.
Absolute perfection, the Greek one. My favorite slide was the slug slide, actually.
Huh?
The slug slide was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
The slug?
Yes.
You like, yeah.
Yes,
good.
I did. I wasn't too predictable by saying that, right?
No, I definitely didn't tell you last night about my slug.
I thought you were being nice. Are there any questions you guys would like to ask Kira? Sorry.
Hi. So, would you consider using AI for legislation issues? Because one of the biggest headaches we've had, especially in some niches like iGaming, is that you don't always, when you go global, you don't consider the local legislation. So, for example, would you consider training some prompts or creating an AI agent to fact check all the content that you have against local legislation or something like that?
Absolutely. That's a really big piece. It's the same as, not just in iGaming, but different countries have different laws around things, like South Africa with the Poppy Act.
Yeah.
You should definitely do it, but I would be careful. Again, because it's such a serious side of things, I would do a little bit of manual checking with everything you do.
Okay. And my second question is, when you do things like this in scale globally, how would you factual check that the quality of the output is good? Because if we're honest, I mean, the more crap you feed into AI, the more crap it will come out. So how would you, in such a scale, how would you do quality control of the result that you get?
So what we do, actually, it's a really good question. We work on a tiered system. So say if we're doing like 33 countries, obviously, unless you've got one person on each country, realistically, you're not going to get perfect results. So we do it in tiers, and we take 3 or 4 at one time. So it gives us space to do the manual checks as well.
Okay.
Because I agree. I mean, I always say that if you think that ChatGPT is doing amazing things for you, then you have no idea what you're talking about. So I would say it's like maybe a 60-40 type thing. You check it manually. There's lots of official documentation. You can even export government white papers and then use that information.
Yeah, we did actually a case study with a friend, and we created like a fake sports, Olympic sports, which was called aquapony, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And we created a lot of articles, and then the LLM actually thought that it's an actual sports and that we are experts in
I'm sure they did.
aquapony, which doesn't exist as a...
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, that's really important for everyone to know that there's so much crap out there. You have to still, you can't rely on something else to help you kind of thing. You have to have a good understanding, and then you let it support you.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Kira.
Hello.
So you talked before about the API, the Reddit API. Hey, now it's better. Okay, so you talked before about the framework for scraping the Reddit with the API, so you can learn some cultural differences and stuff like that. Have you ever used all this logic and the data that you took through this API to feed your LLMs for the translations? And if yes, were the results better than just translating through those LLMs from one language to another?
So we do that. We create custom GPTs based on the job that it's doing. In fact, we've got them, like all the different country GPTs, so they just focus on one language. The results are as good as you make them be, if that makes sense. So if you've got that foundation, because this scrape, obviously, it's not just you scrape it, you put it into a sheet and you're good to go. The part in between is what we don't talk about, the amount of effort it goes into checking it multiple times. But once it's right, once you've spent the time on it, you pop it into the AI, because you do have to train it a couple of times. So we'd go through 3-4 iterations before we're happy with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Kira.
Hello.
Thank you for your excellent presentation. I just want to ask you your opinion about the hreflang thing and the prediction of your prediction for the future. Do you think it will be essential in the future for Google to have this hreflang tag?
That's a really good question. I think hreflang is a very ancient solution for very modern problems. I do think very outdated, but at the moment it's the only way, well, pretty much the only way that Google can understand what pages for what country. It still overrides it, though. That's how we know that it's not great. So to be fully honest with you, I think it will be completely automated based on where you are and based on your personalized searches. I think it will get very clever very soon, but at the moment we just haven't managed to let go of that old ancient code, but people still rely on it. So I think the future is bright for hreflang.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
Quick question. Regarding Reddit, have you ever had any unfortunate event, like using slang, jargon, or anything like that, that would skew the results? Like, you know, inappropriate language and things like that?
Yeah, of course. Of course. You get
How do you manage that?
you go through some really crazy places. I've read things that I wish I never knew when doing this. But I mean, a lot of the time, the reality is if we're in a bit of a difficult place with a language, then we just get the help of a native expert, to be fully honest with you. It's there's some things that we haven't been able to crack as an SEO society. So I always say, if you're in doubt, if something is looking a little bit dodgy and you don't want to be showing that to a client, just consult with a local person, and just it takes 3 seconds. You say, hey, does this make sense? They're like, no, you're saying something horrible. And yeah.
Yeah, so again, are you like trying it out first, like 5, 10 articles or some pieces of information, and then you put it on scale, or?
So what we do, I mean, once we've scraped all the results, we run that through multiple AI systems to clean them out. So like I said, Claude 3.7 is really good for that stuff. So a lot of the time it catches these errors out. So we clean them multiple times. We sieve through the results. But it always takes many, many checks before you get to it.
And last one,
course.
What happens if it goes back? Because we all know, like ChatGPT especially turns on previous information and stuff, so it ignores a lot of the rules and parameters. So does this happen, or is it Claude bulletproof in that sense?
No, nothing's bulletproof, really. I mean, as we all know, especially with the recent Google results, Google changes and announcements that they're like, we own your information. We're going to use your information for AI overviews. And the gentleman previously said they made a fake website, and then LLMs were like, yeah, this is real. So I think that it needs a lot of work still. And it's not bulletproof, and I don't know when it will be. And I don't even have a hypothesis on how we can make it perfectly predictable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to ask, you talked about a lot of the technical stuff with URLs and everything and the slugs. When you've got multilingual content, when you need to create multilingual content, and we're talking long-form content, pages that have got 500 words plus, maybe 1,000 words, and you've got a website that's got about 50 pages with that much content, how can you be sure that all this content is up to scratch? Because there's a lot of nuances. I'm sorry.
No, please.
Pet peeve. There's a lot of nuances, especially in Greek, for example. You don't know if you're going to talk in the formative, like we've got formal way of addressing people, and we've got an everyday way of addressing people. Then we've got gender problems, like the word students, which is not gender specific in English, creates problems into Greek, because how are you going to say it? Are you going to use the male? Because that's not the norm now. So there's a lot of issues like that, and that's just Greek and English, which is the languages that I speak. What about every other language out there?
That's a really, really great question, and a really big piece, actually, because AI is actually really awful at that. So I'm from Russia, and I speak Russian. And if I ever, like, I don't speak technical SEO Russian. So if I'm trying to talk to someone about it, I always pop it into ChatGPT. And it gets the gender wrong, it gets the tense wrong. It's like, honestly, as if it just made it up on the spot. So what we do, and this is a really long-winded way to do it, is if we say got 4 main languages that we're working on, you build a custom script where you input all of those things that you've just said. So I need it in this, with this tense, with these conjugations. This language has this, 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 and this. So the more you teach it, your custom GPT, the more potential it has to give you the right answers with long form stuff. So first of all, we normally focus on pages that are commercially led or bring brand awareness or things like that. So if you've got 60,000 pages, you're not going to sit over every single page, right? You're going to do what's right for you. Anything that's really important, we always get a native expert, always. So there's no workaround, is the short answer. Got to do the work, but I completely relate with the difficulty of the languages.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kira. You've been amazing.
Yeah.
Great talk.